Peace I leave with you, finding lasting peace in a restless world. Introduction: the universal struggle for lasting peace. We all crave peace. Yet how often have you thought, if only I could get past this problem, then I'd finally feel at peace, only to find another worry waiting in line. In our fast-paced American lives, restlessness has almost become the norm. We chase the kind of peace the world offers: weekend getaways, a glass of wine after a hard day, the latest self-help trend promising calm. These things do help for a moment, but that peace never seems to last. Why is it never enough? Even when life is good on the outside, many of us still feel a nagging anxiety on the inside. We lie awake at night replaying conversations, fretting over bills, or wondering if we're good enough. The world's version of peace is often just a temporary escape, a vacation that ends, a meditation app that quiets our mind until the next notification pings, or a treaty that eventually falls apart. We long for a deeper peace, a lasting peace that isn't so fragile. As one famous believer, St. Augustine, observed long ago, our hearts are restless until they find rest in God. Could it be that we feel restless because we're looking for peace in all the wrong places? Think about it. The world offers peace like a band-aid on a deep wound. It might cover up the pain for a while, but it doesn't heal the underlying hurt. We smile on Instagram, saying, "I'm fine, everything's fine," while inside we're anything but fine. Everyone is fighting a hidden battle: stress at work, conflict at home, fear about the future. We wonder, will I ever feel truly at peace? We're not alone in asking that. The good news is, there is an answer. 2,000 years ago, Jesus spoke to this very struggle, promising a peace far more powerful than anything the world can give. Understanding John 14, verse 27, Jesus' unmatched peace. In John 14, verse 27, Jesus comforts his disciples with these words: "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." To understand the weight of this promise, picture the scene. It's the night before Jesus will face the cross. He has just told his closest friends that he is leaving, and they are confused and scared. In that tense, heartbreaking moment, what does Jesus talk about? Peace. Not a casual peace out, see you later, but a profound gift of his peace. Jesus makes a clear distinction. The peace he gives is different from the peace the world gives. The world's peace tends to depend on circumstances. When things are calm, we feel calm. But when storms hit, peace disappears. Jesus offers something better, a peace that endures even when circumstances are anything but peaceful. He wasn't offering his followers an easy life. In fact, he warned them, and us, that in this world you will have trouble. But he immediately encouraged them. Take heart, I have overcome the world. His peace is tied to who he is, not what's happening around us. What does this mean? It means the peace Jesus gives is not temporary or flimsy. It's a peace of heart and mind that the world cannot offer. One Bible translation words it like this: "I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give." When Jesus says, "My peace I give you," he's talking about the very peace he had, the kind that allowed him to sleep in a storm-tossed boat, the kind that kept him composed even as he was about to be arrested and crucified. This is supernatural peace. It's the tranquility that comes from trusting God completely. Imagine a peace so secure that it steadies you in the chaos, like an anchor holding a ship firm in wild seas. Jesus knew we'd face hurricanes in life: illnesses, broken relationships, financial crises, global pandemics, you name it. That night in John 14, he was essentially writing a blank check of peace for all who would follow him. It's as if he said, "No matter what comes, you can have my unshakable peace. The world can't take it away, and I won't withhold it. Don't be afraid." This is the kind of peace that guards our hearts and minds when everything around us is falling apart. Philippians 4 verse 7. It's not the absence of storms, but calm in the middle of them. So how do we know Jesus' peace is different? Because worldly peace fades when troubles come, but Jesus' peace stands firm. It's rooted in the reality that Jesus has overcome the world's worst. By his death and resurrection, he defeated the power of sin, fear, and anything that could ultimately harm us. Therefore, when he says, "Do not let your hearts be troubled," it's not just a platitude. He backed it up by conquering the source of our greatest fears. Real-life story: finding peace in the middle of the storm. Let me share a true-to-life story of someone who experienced this unusual peace. Meet Lisa, a 38-year-old mother of 2 living in the Midwest. Lisa's life was going along just fine. A loving husband, healthy kids, a modest home. She would tell you she believed in God, but deep down, she never really understood what peace that passes understanding meant. That was about to change. One chilly autumn day. Lisa was at a routine doctor's appointment when the doctor entered the room with a concerned look. He said words no one wants to hear. "It looks like cancer." In that moment, Lisa felt her world tilt. Her hands went cold. Cancer? She thought about her kids' faces, her husband waiting in the lobby, the unfinished plans of a life that suddenly felt too short. Fear crashed over her like a wave. That night, after holding herself together through the day, she broke down sobbing on her bedroom floor. "God, why? I'm so scared. What about my children? I'm not ready for this," she whispered through tears. Her heart was absolutely troubled and afraid. In the days that followed, Lisa began treatment, a blur of hospital trips and chemo drips. Outwardly, she tried to stay strong for her family, but inwardly she was wrestling with anxiety every waking moment. One sleepless night, feeling utterly helpless, Lisa remembered the verse from John 14 verse 27 that she'd learned long ago in Sunday school. "Do not let your heart be troubled, and do not be afraid." She also recalled how Jesus had promised, "My peace I give to you." Sitting in the soft glow of her bedside lamp, Lisa decided to do something she hadn't done in a long time. She prayed, really prayed. Through tears, she talked to Jesus. "You said you'd give me peace, but I feel so afraid. Please, I need your peace right now. I can't do this alone." It wasn't a fancy prayer, just a desperate, honest plea for help. As Lisa prayed, a strange thing happened. She described it later as a warm presence entering the room, almost like someone draping a soft blanket over her shaking shoulders. Her tears slowed. She felt an unexpected calm wash over her, starting from deep inside. Nothing in her circumstances had changed. It was still 2 a.m. She still had cancer, but she had changed. In that quiet moment, she felt God was with her, and a peace beyond understanding settled in her heart. She actually managed to smile that night, alone in the dark, amazed that somehow she was not panicking anymore. The storm was still raging, but she felt steady. Over the next months, Lisa's journey wasn't easy. There were days of pain and uncertainty. But that unexplainable peace carried her in a way she never knew was possible. Friends noticed it too. One afternoon during a chemo session, another patient in the ward was crying in fear. Despite her own weakness, Lisa scooted her chair over, held the woman's hand and said, "I know this is scary. Can I tell you what's been keeping me calm?" She talked about how Jesus' promise of peace became real to her, and she even found herself encouraging others, when by all logic she was the one who should need encouragement. Her heart, which once felt like it would pound out of her chest with fear, was now at rest. By God's grace, Lisa eventually went into remission. But she says the bigger miracle was the peace she found. "Cancer was something I couldn't control," she reflects. "But when I gave up trying to control everything and trusted Jesus, I found out He really does give peace like a gift." It sounds crazy, but in some ways I'm thankful for that crisis, because I got to experience Jesus' peace for myself. Her story brings John 14 verse 27 to life. The peace Jesus gives isn't a theory or a nice idea. It's real, and it's available even in our darkest moments. Lisa would tell you that Jesus' peace doesn't mean you never shed a tear or feel worried, but it does mean you have a steady refuge to run to, a source of comfort that never runs dry. Parable, a father's embrace in the thunderstorm. To understand how God's peace works, let me paint a picture, a simple parable. Imagine a little girl who's terrified of thunderstorms. One summer night, a massive storm hits. Thunder shakes the house, and lightning turns the sky white. The little girl wakes up, and immediately fear grips her. In her pajama feet, she dashes down the dark hallway crying out for her father. Her dad scoops her up into his arms, holds her tight, and whispers, "It's all right, I'm here. I've got you." The thunder is still loud, and the rain is still pounding on the roof, but wrapped in her father's embrace, the child begins to calm down. She buries her face into his chest, hears the familiar sound of his heartbeat, and slowly her tense little body relaxes. The storm hasn't stopped at all, but now it doesn't scare her as much. Why? Because she trusts the one who is holding her. In a few minutes, the little girl is sound asleep in her father's arms, right in the middle of the raging storm. This is a picture of God's peace for us. In this parable, life's troubles are the thunderstorm. We will all face storms in life, some brief, some long and violent. The world's idea of peace says the only way to have peace is for the storm to end, for the sky to clear. But Jesus offers a peace that says, even if the storm rages on, you can rest in my arms. We are like that frightened child, and God is the strong, loving Father. When fear storms into our hearts with booms of what if, what now, we have a choice: stay in our bed trembling, or run to the Father that I am the Father's arms. The circumstance, the storm, might not immediately change. Cancer might still be cancer. Bills might still be due. The grief or loss might still be very real. But we change in His presence. We find a shelter that the storm cannot penetrate. The Apostle Paul described a peace of God which surpasses all understanding, that can guard our hearts and minds. Think of it like a fortress around your heart when you're curled up with God. It doesn't necessarily make sense to others. By all accounts, we should be freaking out, but somehow we're not. That somehow is Jesus' peace. Just as the little girl fell asleep even as thunder boomed, we too can find rest for our souls even when life is still swirling around us. God's peace is like an anchor. The wind howls and the waves crash, but the anchor holds the ship steady. His peace anchors us because we know He is in control, and He is with us through the storm. Another simple illustration: picture two artists asked to paint peace. One paints a serene lake with mountains, a beautiful sunset, not a ripple in sight. The other paints a fierce storm crashing against a rocky cliff. But under an outcrop of the rock, he paints a tiny bird in a nest, sleeping soundly. Which painting best shows true peace? The second one, because it's one thing to be calm when all is calm. That's the lake. But true peace is remaining calm in the middle of chaos, like that little bird safe in the cleft of the rock. God's peace is that sheltered nook for us. My peace I give you, Jesus says, a peace that lets us sing in the rain, smile through the tears, and trust that our Father's arms are around us even when thunder is crashing. Practical steps to experience Christ's peace daily. All this sounds wonderful, but you might be thinking, how do I actually get this peace in my day-to-day crazy life? It's a fair question. Experiencing Christ's peace is both a moment-by-moment choice and a practice we can grow in. Here are some practical steps to help you welcome that peace into your heart each day, even when uncertainty looms. Run to God in prayer. Tell Him everything. Just like the little girl ran to her father, we need to run to God when we're anxious. Talk to Him about what's scaring or worrying you. It can be as simple as, God, I'm really afraid about this situation. Please help me. The Bible invites us to cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. 1 Peter 5 verse 7. Instead of wrestling with fears alone, bring them to Jesus. As you pray honestly, imagine placing each worry into His hands. Surrender it to Him. You'll be amazed at the relief that brings, as God's peace begins to replace your anxiety. Fill your mind with God's promises. What we think about fuels either our peace or our anxiety. Jesus' words in John 14 verse 27 are a promise. Maybe write it down and put it somewhere visible. Also, dive into other scriptures that promise God's presence and peace. For example, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you, Hebrews 13 verse 5, or the Lord is my shepherd. He leads me beside quiet waters, He refreshes my soul. Psalm 23. When worry whispers lies, you're alone in this, it's hopeless. Combat them with God's truths. Memorize or jot down verses that calm your heart and review them when you feel stress building. Let God's voice be louder than the storm. Some great verses on peace. Philippians 4 verses 6-7, Isaiah 26 verse 3, John 16 verse 33. Practice gratitude, even in chaos. This one might sound strange, but gratitude is a powerful peace bringer. When everything feels like it's falling apart, intentionally pause and find even one small thing to thank God for. It could be as basic as, God, thank you for giving me breath this morning, or thanking Him for a friend's support, or even something beautiful in nature you noticed on the way to work. Gratitude shifts our focus from what's wrong to the ways God is still good and present. It's hard for fear and thankfulness to dominate our hearts at the same time. Counting blessings, even while waiting for a breakthrough, opens the door for God's peace to slip in and soothe our worried minds. Stay connected to supportive community. Don't underestimate the peace that comes from not going through struggles alone. God often uses people to encourage and comfort us. Find a community of faith, a church group, a few friends who also trust in Christ, and share your burdens with them. Let them pray with you and for you. Sometimes just voicing your fears to a compassionate friend or mentor can release some of the pressure inside. Others can remind you of God's promises when you forget. When Lisa, from our story, opened up to her close friend about her cancer battle, that friend would send her daily text reminders. God's got you today. Remember his peace. Those messages lifted her spirit on the hardest days. We're meant to encourage one another. Peace grows in our hearts when we know we have others standing with us, and that we're part of a bigger family that cares. Trust God's timing and plan. This might be the hardest step, but it's crucial. Experiencing Jesus' peace means learning to trust that God is in control, even when life doesn't make sense. It's a daily, sometimes hourly, decision to say, God, I trust you with this. I believe you love me and you're working this out for good, even if I can't see it yet. Whenever anxiety flares up, gently remind yourself that God is bigger than whatever you're facing. He has a track record of faithfulness. Think of past troubles he's already brought you through. Lean on that history. Write down times you felt God's help or saw answers in your life. Revisit that list when new worries arise. Choosing trust over and over builds a habit of peace. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger your peace becomes. Remember, Jesus has overcome the world, so nothing is beyond his power. When you trust that your story is in his hands, your heart can stay calm knowing that he's working, even in the waiting. By incorporating these steps into your life, you create space for Christ's peace to dwell in you. It's not about being perfect at it. We all have anxious days, but it's about consistently redirecting your heart toward God, your source of true peace. Bit by bit, you'll likely notice a change. The problems might remain, but they don't unhinge you as much. You'll face challenges with more calm and confidence, anchored by the peace that Jesus freely gives. Final challenge: embrace Jesus' peace and banish fear. Jesus offers each of us the gift of his peace, but like any gift, we have to choose to receive it. Imagine Jesus standing before you right now, hand outstretched, a warm smile in his eyes, saying, "My child, peace I leave with you." Will you take it? The challenge for you and me is to say, yes. Yes to his peace. Yes to trusting him with our worries. Yes to letting go of the control we think we have and allowing him to calm our hearts. It's a daily choice to live in that peace. Whenever fear knocks on the door of your heart, let Jesus answer it. He has already defeated everything that ultimately threatens us. Because of him, we truly have nothing to fear that he cannot handle. So, what will you do next time anxiety floods in? I challenge you. Instead of yielding to panic or despair, pause and remember Jesus' words. Do not let your heart be troubled and do not be afraid. You might even place a hand on your heart and breathe that in. Jesus, you left me your peace. I receive it now. Take refuge in him, just like that little girl in her father's arms. Let his peace fill you. It's deeper than a feeling. It's a reality available to you as you trust him. No, it's not magic that removes all problems, but it's a miracle that will guard your heart through them. Finally, I invite you to take a step of engagement. If this message of Christ's peace spoke to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend who might be struggling. Sometimes a simple word of hope can make all the difference for someone in turmoil. And if you want more encouragement and real-life stories of faith, subscribe to our channel/page. Join our community of hope, where we support each other in living out these truths. We'd also love to have you as part of this journey. Your comments, your stories, and your prayers matter to us. If you feel led, you can even support our ministry so we can continue reaching others with the life-changing peace of Jesus. Remember, lasting peace is possible. Jesus has offered it, and it's yours for the taking. Today, you can begin to live in that promise. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. May you experience the calm assurance of Christ holding you, no matter what storms come. Don't let your heart be troubled. His peace is with you now. Go in that peace and be a carrier of it to those around you. Thank you for reading/watching. Now let's step forward in faith and live in the peace that God so lovingly provides.